Welcome to the Couch Scouts podcast. We provide league-winning analysis, advice, and tools to help you dominate your league and build a dynasty. Scout, draft, win. Here's your host, Matt Cooper.
Welcome to the Couch Scouts podcast. I am your host, Matt Cooper. With me, as always, are my co-hosts, Matt Rupert.
How you doing, my man?
And Matt Jackson.
What's going on, guys?
Just ready for another week of breaking down NFL action for our Dynasty listeners. Excited for that. It's been a full day, but I'm always ready to get into some podcasting. And let's jump right into it this week. We got some fun things to discuss. We got some rookie breakouts, some that particularly excite us as Scouts people, which we'll talk about. But on today's show, we are going to be getting into some Week 7 discussion. We're going to break down some takeaways from the week, and then we are going to switch it up to talking about how some offenses are surprising us, some in a good way, mostly in a bad way, and what we as fantasy managers need to be doing about it. So we'll start with some Week 7 questions to discuss. And our first one here is related to the Kansas City Chiefs and their running back room. And the question, if you clicked on the show title, our show is titled by this question: has the Brashard Smith takeover begun? Is it Brashard Smith season? What do you guys think? I'll start with you, Rupert.
I'm not quite there yet. Frankly and personally, I hope we are there. He just hasn't seen enough snap share. Like this week, I think he had like 35% snap share. He's had like 9% snap share for like 3 or 4 weeks prior. He just hasn't gotten a ton. He got 14 carries this week and then 5 targets, caught all 5, which is encouraging. So I hope that's a sign of more to come. But being that, there hasn't been like a steady increase, I'm just not ready to say that takeover's there. I think his talent justifies it for sure, but it just doesn't seem like that's the plan yet.
Yeah, no. I hope it is. I'm right there with you, Rupert. Pacheco has been virtually unusable all season. I have him on several rosters, and like there's several rosters where I have to start him, and it's just so ugly when you have to do that. Smith does add a nice ability as a pass catcher, but with Rashee Rice back, like I'm not really sure all of that is going to matter all that much between the splits between Rice and Worthy. For me, it's just it's such a murky situation. I'm not sure you're ever going to be able to utilize him the rest of the season. So like as much as I wish it was, like it's a situation that I'm avoiding.
For me, it's a maybe, and I hope so, which feels like a cop-out, but Pacheco still had 15 carries in this game. You mentioned 35% snaps for Brashard Smith. That's not, workhorse. Like if you just looked at 14 carries and 5 targets, that's 19 touches. You're like, yeah, like wheels up, baby. But yeah, some of that underlying stuff does give room for pause. Somehow Pacheco was more efficient with his carries, which like Pacheco not known for that. He's not the most efficient runner, but Brashard Smith on his 14 carries saw 39 yards, no touchdowns, good for 2.79 yards per carry. So not the most effective with those touches. Really, like it was the 5 targets and the 5 catches that salvaged his fantasy day. So I don't know. Smith is almost certainly going to continue to be in a committee at best, where he's ceding red zone touches. Even in this game, Pacheco had a touchdown. But he does add an explosive element that they've really needed out of the backfield. The 5 catches for 42 yards is an encouraging sign. They've been using him more and more as a pass catcher. But they hadn't really, like his season high for carries was 4 before this week. So the 14 carries is encouraging if that kind of usage continues between the tackles. But I don't know. It's encouraging, but it's also entirely possible that this is like Woody Marks big week earlier in the season where it was more of a case of like feeding the hot hand than a sign of things to come. But Pacheco and Hunt, they've not been getting the job done. So, I hope we start to see more of Smith. But I'm kind of with you guys. I'm not trusting this yet. I'm not going out and buying him. I think if he has a few more bad weeks, the buy window could reopen. Just now is not the time, coming off of 19 touches. We were actually saying before this week that you should buy him because the other guys are so inept that at some point they're going to start giving Brashard Smith more touches. And sure enough, that's happening. So I hope this continues, but I'm not fully buying in for all the reasons that we've discussed. So the second question on here, we're just going to breeze through this because this question was put on the show sheet as a topic, and then some news broke today that kind of makes it less of a talking point. So this has been a frequent topic of discussion on the podcast already this year, but after his benching against Carolina, we have to bring it back up again. Justin Fields. Is the Justin Fields experiment over? Was the question we have posed here on the show sheet. But news comes out today that they are expecting to name Tyrod Taylor the starter, which kind of answers that question for us. Like, yeah, the experiment's over. In fact, I'll read you what I had written in my show notes. I said, if by over you mean is Tyrod the new starter moving forward, I'd say probably not. That's what I wrote in my show notes. And then today they actually shows what I know. Tyrod Taylor is the starter moving forward. If by over you mean he's not the future of the franchise and they're going to look to replace him in the offseason and he won't get another chance somewhere else, then yes, absolutely. Like Justin Fields, unfortunately, seems like he's had his chances, 3 different teams now, and he's just not an NFL caliber starting quarterback.
No, he's just looked abysmal. I mean, he's proven time and time again he's not a good passer of the football. I mean, looking at his stats the last 2 weeks, he has a combined 91 passing yards with no touchdowns in the last 2 weeks, which is just abysmal, right? Like, I don't even know how you manage that as an NFL quarterback. And then even if he was starting again, like you're looking at the Garrett Wilson knee injury, like is Garrett Wilson going to come back anytime soon? So like, it just wasn't a situation he was going to succeed in anyway if he was good. And I don't think he is good. So like, I'm right with you. I don't think he gets a chance again.
It's really disappointing because I thought I saw a lot of improvements with him passing the ball earlier in the season, which we discussed, I think, 2 weeks ago. In particular, like a situation I have him on a roster, and if I should hold him to try and contend this year or if I should trade him. And I'm so mad that I have completely now lost my sell window.
Didn't I tell you to go offer him for Jordan Love? Did you just get swiftly rejected on that?
Yeah, it was a no-go.
Yeah, I figured. I mean, that was a little. We did that a couple years ago, and
Yeah.
very, very pleased with that decision.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
Being that early Jordan Love adopter.
You sold me on that one. Yeah. For sure. Early in the season, I mean, 31.77 fantasy points against Pittsburgh, over 200 yards passing, add in the rushing element. Like he showed some encouraging signs early, and they were losing football games, but it didn't feel like it was Justin's fault. And then the last couple of weeks, the wheels just fell off. So I'm curious if he'll get another chance at some point this season to start. But long term, I have no belief. So, all right. Third question, and this is a fun one. Is Oronde Gadsden II the Chargers' tight end of the future? Since making his debut in week 4, he has 3 games of at least 7 targets, 5 receptions, and 46 yards, including this week's 7-catch, 164-yard, and 1 touchdown explosion on Sunday. He is the tight end 12 in points per game during that time frame. So I got to throw it to you first, Rupert, because I got to give you your flowers. You shouted this out. I remember you were a guest on Heath Cummings' FFT show, And this was like a late kind of preseason training camp. He was asking you like who has risen for you from rookie draft to that point in the process, and you shouted out Oronde Gadsden, who was getting some camp buzz. You said you liked his tape, excited to hear what you were hearing out of camp, and you told people to go buy Oronde Gadsden. And hopefully people took that advice because, yeah, I mean, he looks like a real dynasty asset here. So, Rupert, what do you think? Is he the Chargers tight end of the future? Are we buying in on him dynasty wise, or is this a flash in the pan?
I'm buying in, and I'm so glad I have plenty of shares. I don't have as much as I would have wanted, um, but I think I about half, or close to half, at least over a third of my dynasty rosters, I got them on there. Sitting on some taxi squads, and one week I got Tyler Warren and Gadsden, so I'm feeling really good about tight end position. But yeah, just my evaluation of him from college really makes me feel firm that he's the prospect here. Because really, my concern with him was like, is he just going to be this tweener that stays off the field because he can't block? And it looks like he's really shown up there. It hasn't really been a problem, and I feel like the community should have listened to Harbaugh and their tight end coach about how much they're raving about how he reminds them of Darren Waller. They've, like Harbaugh said over the past couple of weeks, like they have to get him more involved, and they've done that. Like he's slowly been increasing, so I think we're just going to see him be more part of a full time rotation there.
Fun fact, I saw that he broke the record for most receiving yards in a game this week for a tight end set by some dude named Antonio Gates, whoever that is. So, I mean, the short answer is yes, right? Like he's been on a tear recently the last few weeks. I think the one thing that offense was really missing, like you had Keenan Allen doing his thing. You had Quentin Johnston, and now Lad McConkey has come in and kind of put up some good performances. What they were really missing was that tight end to work the middle of the field. And I think Gadsden fits into that mold and is like kind of the missing piece that that offense was needing. I'm fully buying in like Rupert is. I think he's the tight end. Um, he's the tight end for that team, and I don't see that going away anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, we liked his college tape. The situation that he got drafted into was great. Uh, the draft capital was not great. You know, a little bit later on day 3, we had him ranked in the 3rd round in rookie drafts, which I don't know what consensus ADP was, but that feels like higher than where he was typically going, at least in my leagues. But it's not like we were like over the moon on him. It's not like we were saying how, you know, we've got a 2nd round grade on this guy, anything like that. The draft capital, we might have been higher had he gotten, you know, a little bit better draft capital, but we did like the tape. Like I mentioned, Rupert shouted him out on FFT as a buy this offseason. The camp buzz was there. And then since coming back, like I think after the first week, like this speaks volumes. He comes in as a, I think, 5th round pick, and he's hurt to start the year. And you've got established guys there in Tyler Conklin and I think Will Disley too, right? I mean, these are guys that have played and started on multiple NFL teams and like contributed. And this guy comes in as a day 3 rookie, and the second that he gets healthy, he gets on the field and earns 7 targets in his first game on 25% of his that he played 26% snaps that first week. Like was still very much working his way back from the injury, played 26% snaps, saw 7 targets. And then Justin Herbert was like vocal saying, I trust this guy. He's been making plays all offseason, all throughout training camp. Like he has my trust. And so the snap share has continued to climb 26%, 48%, 54%, 75%, 79%. He's at the point where he's playing, you know, he's approaching 80+% snaps, which is exactly what you want from a fantasy tight end. The targets are there. I mean, the only question that you have is there's a lot of mouths to feed in that offense, right? Like you still have Quentin Johnston, you still have Keenan Allen, you still have Lad McConkey. So there's going to be some boom weeks and there's going to be some bust weeks probably. But he's what you want in a fantasy tight end too, because like you said, Rupert, he's not out there to block. He's out there to run in the slot and catch passes and be a target over the middle of the field. So yeah, I agree with you guys, everything that you've said, and I just think all the signs are pointing towards like he's the tight end of the future there. So here's an interesting question for you guys. This isn't on the show sheet, but I saw this in the Discord. One of our members was offered Loveland for Gadsden straight up. And so this was non-ballin' Colin. Says, I got offered Loveland for Gadsden straight up. I have a rebuild team. I take this, right? Getting Loveland. And of course, a lot of our members said yes, smash accept as fast as you can. And he did. He accepted the trade. He got Loveland. So I'm curious, did he make the right move trading Gadsden for Loveland? What do you guys think?
I think he did if he's in a rebuild because, Gadsden's probably going to hurt your chances of getting that 101, where it doesn't seem like Loveland is. I still believe in Loveland.
Mm-hmm.
Love the tape. He's got that draft capital. There's few tight ends that get that kind of draft capital and have that kind of film and don't succeed. I guess you could say Kyle Pitts is one. But I would probably accept it, but I probably wouldn't feel good about it. I'll say that.
I mean, that's an interesting question, right? Because it's seemingly the same situation, is it not? I mean, except for draft capital, you're looking at a guy that we like the film. He got drafted to a crowded situation. One has just performed and one hasn't performed yet, or one's had the opportunity and one hasn't had the opportunity yet. I'd still stick with my evaluation on Loveland. I graded Loveland so much higher than I did
Mm-hmm.
Gadsden, and I don't think that Loveland, like, once he gets the opportunity, he's going to be just as valuable, if not more valuable, than Gadsden. Like, and for me, in a rebuild, if I don't need the points right away, like, that's an easy decision for me.
Yeah, Loveland's snap percentage is also slowly climbing. I mean, he had 67% of the snaps this week, which is encouraging. And yeah, I mean, you don't draft a guy that high not to use him. It seems like he was kind of hurt throughout training camp and just had different things going on that have kind of contributed to this slow start. But like you guys both said, we still believe in Loveland. We're not, but it's an interesting conversation because it's like bird in the hand. Like I've got this guy that's already doing what I hope Loveland will do one day, but I've got to imagine that Bears situation like just thins out at some point. They can't pay all these guys. Like DJ Moore seems like it's only a matter of time before he's gone. Like Burden's slowly starting to get more snaps and DJ Moore's usage hasn't been there and he's probably getting frustrated and it just seems like before long like Komet's going to get phased out, DJ Moore's going to move on and it's going to be it's going to be Odunze, it's going to be Burden, and it's going to be Loveland. Those are the guys that they've drafted and are building around for the future. So, yeah, I still would take Loveland there, but it's harder than you might. That's a harder decision than I think the people in our Discord. They're like, smash accept. Such a I didn't necessarily feel that way. I was like, that's an interesting question. So,
Right. I think it goes back to like the film, like, I think everyone's seen that highlight from Gadsden on the long play where he like catches it up the seam, breaks some tackles, gets a ton of yak. But if you watch the rest of the tape, like he's winning everywhere. Like he's not just like catching little slants and little option routes. Like he's deep down the field, toe tapping on the sideline, working on scramble drills. He's doing everything. So, like you said, it's bird in the hand. Like you're seeing him already do it. So it does make it incredibly hard. Like I could honestly see going either way.
yeah. All right. Well, before we get into our little what happened to my offense segment of the show, let's take a little break and shout out the great resources that are available at couchscouts.com. We have an all 22 film room. We have bonus podcasts that come out just for our members every week, in addition to this one that you can hear publicly. We have a rookie guide that we do every year that has gotten rave reviews from our customers. We have an consultation where our customers can come book a 30-minute Google Meet call with one of the three of us to go over a dynasty roster of your choosing, help you develop a personalized strategy. That has also gotten really great reviews from our customers. And so, yeah, we try to make it a really reasonable price. You can get one of our packages. I think our cheaper packages are like $50 for a whole year, which is less than $5 a month. I think it returns great value. So we would love for you guys to consider joining the Couch Scouts family. And we are adding a new feature. We have hinted at this, but we're officially, I have been working pretty hard over the last week and a half, 2 weeks to ChatGPT has helped me do some coding because I'm not a website developer. But I think we've got a pretty sharp user interface on our website for brand new dynasty rankings for our members. And you're going to be able to filter by position. You're going to be able to filter which rank set. So do you want like an average of all three of our ranks? Do you want to pull up my rankings or Rupert's rankings or Jackson's rankings? You can search for a player. So I'm pretty excited to add that feature, and that should be live on the site like within the week. So we're really, really excited to roll that out for you guys. And definitely, so we have two packages. We've got our Scout Potato. We've got our Armchair GM. I think the Dynasty rankings are going to be on the Armchair GM side. And then we have a bundle where you can get both packages, and that's at a little bit of a discounted rate. So get in there, check it out. Join the Couch Scouts family. And if you're already in with us, but you don't have Armchair GM, and you're like, hey, now that those rankings are there, I want to get in on the Armchair GM side, and you want to change your package, just hit my DMs on Discord or reach out, leave a comment on the podcast. We'll figure out a way to contact us. We would love to. You could send a support ticket on the website. We'd love to help you get that changed if you want to get a change. So, yeah, join the Couch Scouts. All right, let's get into the second half of the show. And we're going to be talking about some offenses. I kind of hinted at this earlier, but some offenses that have surprised us, either in a good way or a bad way. We're going to start with one that it's definitely a bad way. The Miami Dolphins. What should we do with this Miami offense? I mean, was this weekend just like bad environment against a good defense? Tua has less than 180 passing yards in 4 out of his 7 games this year.
Barf.
Yeah, 180 is not a lot to ask in the NFL. In those games, he's thrown 5 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. And yeah, I mean, I can start here. I don't have a lot of faith in Tua. I haven't for a while. Seems like whatever fairy dust that McDaniel sprinkled on him that first year or two that they were together has worn off. And McDaniel seems like he's kind of lost the locker room. They're not buying what he's selling. There's a coaching change on the horizon, probably. There's a quarterback change on the horizon, probably. But in the short term, it's ugly, man. 3 interceptions and 3 fumbles this week for Tua in the same game. 6 turnovers is brutal. Miami is definitely going to be looking to move on ASAP. They should be. Jalen Waddle, I think, is not a number 1 wide receiver talent. Like, he had a couple of years where, like, by default, he kind of was, and the offense was clicking enough. But I don't think, like, I think he kind of needed that Tyreek Hill to take the pressure off of him. So all those people who said just wait till Tyreek is out of the way have waited a long time for nothing. The only piece of this offense that I want in fantasy is Achane. The rest, send me almost any offer and I'll probably take it.
I'm in agreement there. Cooper, I keep on coming back to that trade that we made where we sent off Lawrence as part of the deal and got back to him, I'm like, oh man, somehow it still seems like we got the bad end of that one, even as bad as Lawrence has looked, and we'll get to that later. But I totally agree. Achan's really the only one that I want there.
That's my first and only Tua share, by the way, is that deal.
Same.
And the only reason I took it is because we got Genty.
Yeah.
So, Derrick Henry, here's the full deal for those that are curious. It was Tua Tagovailoa, Ashton Genty, and a 5th-round pick. That's what we got. We sent Derrick Henry, Trevor Lawrence, a 2nd and a 3rd. So I think we smashed that deal because we got Genty, and I would take Genty over everything we gave up put together, even if Tua's doing nothing, which he is. So I still feel fine about the deal.
Yeah, agreed. But I thought we'd be a little more set at quarterback. But yeah, so going back to Tua, like, unfortunately, with the deal they signed him on, 2026, his cap number's $56 million. So if they cut him next year, $99 million of dead cap money.
Oof.
If they do it post June 1st, it's only a $67 million cap hit.
Only.
So
yikes.
They are in a rough spot. Like, they can't really reasonably get rid of him next year. So there's going to be a coaching change that, like, probably the best course of action is get anyone in there that can help Tua be good enough to where maybe they can trade him after a year or something. But unfortunately, it looks like they're stuck with him for now.
I do want to push back. I do want to push back a little bit on the Devin Achane call out, though. Not saying that he's not the only piece that I want, because I still want Devin Achane on my team. Like, I'm not. Don't hear me saying that I don't want him on my team. I want to push back a little bit though, because like the last 3 games, like 7 carries, 55 yards, 11 carries, 30 yards, 12 carries, 62 yards. Like, the only reason that he's a usable asset right now is because he's got like 22 or 23 targets the last 3 weeks. Like, his pass catching chops are keeping him a usable target. The only reason I'm pushing back is because like he's not the running back 1 overall that we thought he was going to be, right? And like that's unfortunate to see.
My bold prediction on the bold prediction show was that he could be RB1 overall. We were not projecting that.
Listen to what I'm saying though. Like, I'm
saying, finish your.
What I'm saying is the value that what he could be is not there because Tua stinks so bad, and like he's not getting the opportunity that he needs to get. So like, for me, like, yes, I want Devin Achane on my team, but the value for what you had to pay for him, like, he's not reaching that value aside from like, hopefully he keeps getting this target percentage and the checkdowns that Tua's throwing.
Okay, but let me just put this out there. He also had 13 carries, 82 yards, good for 6.3 yards a carry this week. And a week ago, he had 16 carries for 128 yards and 2 touchdowns. So it's not just all runs. He's the RB5 on the season at 24 years old in the worst situation imaginable. This is telling me he's situation proof. Like, if I get RB5 numbers out of HN in this season on this Miami offense, and he's still just 24, like, I'm still all the way in. If anything, I think he's still underpriced.
I would argue too, though, how much is that going to keep up, though, right? Because like if they end up benching Tua, like Quinn Ewers isn't the answer. We saw what happened last year when this team went down and didn't have Tua back there. The whole offense was abysmal. So it's something that I'm watching again. Like, please don't hear me saying that like I don't want David Achane on my team, because I do. He's a phenomenal running back. Like, don't hear me misspeak, but it's stuff that we have to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, the offense is ugly, and there's going to be weeks that it affects him. And it, to Rupert's point with the contract, like, it, maybe it doesn't get better next year. It might be a couple years where it sucks like this. But I'm curious. I'm pulling it up right now. His ADP is 23rd overall, Dynasty RB5. And in my rankings, I have him at 20th overall, and I don't have which RB rank. He's behind Bijan, and he is behind Gibbs and Genty. So I've got him as my RB4. So I'm just slightly higher than him than ADP. But yeah, definitely still very much in on Devin Achane. But everybody else in that offense, you could throw me a bag of chips and I'll at least consider it. I mean, like
I think
Tyreek
too.
Hill.
Anytime you have your coach coming out and saying, "What do you need from Tua this week?" and your coach blasts you in a press conference and says, "I need you to not throw 10 interceptions in a game," like that's not a good situation.
No, it's not
Yeah.
fun for anybody down there in Miami. And
McDaniels personally, like to me, he looks completely checked out. He's just waiting to get fired. He
yep.
can't wait to sip some Mai Tais on Miami Beach.
Yeah, but like Tyreek with his age and then that injury, I saw a picture because it was posted in our Discord, and I wish I'd never seen it because it's not how a knee should turn. And yeah, so like I would take almost anything for Tyreek in Dynasty. I don't know that he comes back from that. And Waddle, give me a second and I'm out at this point. So yeah, the only guy I want at his cost is HN. So let's move on. This one's actually a pleasant surprise. Are T. Higgins and Jamar Chase back to what we wanted them to be with Flacco now under center? Is Flacco this much better than Jake Browning? And by extension, were Flacco's early season struggles with the Browns a product of the Browns system? Is this a 1 week wonder? Where are you at with Flacco and the Browns? I'll start it with you, Jackson.
Yeah, with Flacco, I mean, I I think Flacco, has shown enough to show that both T. Higgins and Jamar Chase are are going to get theirs, right? I mean, 23 targets for Jamar Chase last week was just absolutely absurd.
Nuts.
Anytime you're throwing the ball 23 times to a guy, like I can only imagine that Jake Browning was looking at Flacco and going, "Oh, is it this easy?" And Flacco would be like, "Yeah, like it's this easy. We have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Just like throw them the ball." Like, but I will say that like while Flacco's look decent right now, I'm optimistic, but I'm also cautious because I'm not sure that it's sustainable right now. When it comes to the Browns, I mean, like how many times we've seen a quarterback leave the Browns and end up being successful? Like that's what the Browns do, right? The Browns are the farm system for the entire NFL. So I'm not surprised that somebody left the Browns and is having success. Like that's another day in the neighborhood.
Yeah, this is
Agreed.
shades to me of like Brandon Marshall getting 28 targets from Kyle Orton, right? This Jamar Chase game. It's like uh they lost the game. I mean, it's like a mirror image, but although the Bengals did win this game. So yeah, I don't know. Like it's a feel good story. I'm happy for Flacco. And watching him, I saw him kind of on the interview after the game on Thursday Night Football with the whole primetime crew, and just seemed like he was laughing and having a good time and just living his best life, right? Like he's just happy to be here at his age. But you know, we have seen a couple of years now of Flacco not playing at a high level with both the Colts and the Browns. So I'm not fully buying in yet. I need to see more than one magical night. I'm excited for my uh Bengals wide receivers. Particularly, I don't know if I have any Jamar Chase on my rosters for whatever reason. He's expensive and hard to acquire. If you weren't in on the very beginning, you probably didn't get in, but I have quite a few T. Higgins shares and was very glad to see him put up big numbers in this one. And I hope it continues, but it kind of reminds me of like Ryan Fitzmagic a couple of years ago, like late career. Like he had some games that just feel good like that. He put up the big numbers and he's slinging it and everybody loves him and he's got the big beard and the whole thing. And then he'd like come out the next week and throw 3 picks. So um, I'm cautiously optimistic. I do think it'll be better than Browning, but I think there's still some rough weeks ahead, probably.
If Joe Flacco rips his shirt off and starts running around like Fitzmagic did, I'm out.
I'd be in more if he did that. Like, yeah, like you said, we've seen years where he's not been a high level quarterback, but I think he's, can embrace that like old gunslinger kind of attitude, and it's just like I got two of the most talented wide receivers I've ever played with in my 20 years being in the NFL. Like he hasn't had a wide receiver as close to as good as Jamar Chase. T.
Right.
Higgins still might be the best wide receiver he's ever had. Um,
That's true.
Anquan Bolden's up there, but it was a little bit later career Anquan. Um, this is by far like the best weapons he's ever enjoyed. So I think he's smart enough to know like I'm going to throw to my studs and just see what happens. He's probably going to throw a lot of picks, but I think he's going to almost be like a Jameis Winston-esque kind of quarterback where he helps for fantasy, maybe doesn't really help get as many wins for the Bengals. But
Yep.
at least
Hey, I'm
it'll
here
keep
for
the
that.
wide receivers from, reading self-help books on the sideline.
There you go. So, all right, we've talked about rookie breakout from Oronde Gadsden, and we talked about a maybe rookie breakout from Brashard Smith. But we have got to talk about the rookie breakout from our guy, Travis Hunter. We have been raving about him since January. He was our 102, and so far it hasn't looked great. But this week, man, 14 targets, over 100 yards receiving, got his first NFL touchdown. I mean, man, if he keeps this up, if this is like just the beginning of a run, like I think of like Justin Jefferson, the second half of his rookie year where he just took the league by storm. If this is that, man, pump it into my veins. I'm so happy. Trevor Lawrence, however, was abysmal in this game. Um, how much is he limiting the offense? And do you think that this will continue from Travis Hunter? I'll start with you, Rupert.
I think it will. We've seen it all year. There's just something has not clicked with Brian Thomas Jr. Um, and it. I've heard some rumblings like it could be off the field stuff with Kyron Lacey being a guy that he was close with, and the death of him affecting him, which is something I could totally see because it just
What a sad thing, man.
it's terrible, terrible. But it just doesn't seem like anything's clicking for him. And it certainly looks like that Lawrence is developing more trust with Hunter. And Brian Thomas is, letting him down with drops over and over again. So he looks great, and please be a sign of more things to come.
I'm going to start with Trevor Lawrence because I've never been more frustrated with a quarterback than I was frustrated with Trevor Lawrence watching that all 22 game film today. There were so many overthrows and underthrows that like Trevor Lawrence quite literally left points on the table for the Jaguars last week. You look at Travis Hunter, like Hunter is amazing. We knew that. But like even for as good a day as he had, like 8 catches for 101 yards and 1 touchdown, like he didn't see a reception until like the end of the third quarter. Like he could have had more points if you look at it. I charted, I counted while I was watching the game. I counted at least 6 times that he was wide open and Lawrence didn't even look his way, which I understand. Like, yes, the scheme might not be to look that direction. Like, I get all of that in the NFL. But like I also counted another 4 times where Trevor Lawrence just completely overthrew him and like the ball wasn't on target and he could have ran for miles after he caught the ball. So like Hunter's going to be fine. Like Hunter is exactly who we thought he was, and we're going to talk about him on the bonus show. Like we're still all in on him. We're still excited about him, but they got to fix this QB problem because Trevor Lawrence was holding that offense back on this week.
Yeah, for sure. I'm with you guys. I mean, I think we have already established that Lawrence is limiting this offense. It's been that way all season. And there was one in particular, there was 2 plays really that I noticed that were big ones. Like one, he's coming across on a shallow crosser and he's got lots of separation and lots of room for yak. And Trevor Lawrence throws it 5 yards over his head and behind him. And then there's another one where he's wide open deep down the field for a long bomb touchdown, and Trevor Lawrence tries to throw it underneath to Brian Thomas, and it's an incompletion. And Travis Hunter's literally jumping up and down and like pounding on his helmet and like, I was so open. Like that was a touchdown. What are we doing here? So yeah, a big day could have been even bigger. I think another encouraging thing, 87% snaps on offense. By far his highest of the season. Like he was 67 was his high in week 5, and then 78 was his new high in week 6, and now 87 is his new high in week 7. So they're like kind of letting him loose a little bit. And I saw him not just lining up in the slot. Like at the beginning, it was just that little like gadgety. He's in the slot. He's going to run a little hitch. They're going to use him for yak. And he wasn't really running a lot of routes. This game, I saw them lining him up all over the place, and I saw him outside beating press coverage and all the things that we saw in his college tape. So, yes, I think that Trevor Lawrence will continue to limit him, and there might be some more frustrating weeks. But I think the usage, like now that that cat's out of the bag, I do think that like he's going to continue to see a lot of targets the rest of the season. I think he's going to continue to play almost all the snaps on offense the rest of the season, and they're going to keep, unlocking his route tree. And I'm really excited to see what the rest of the season is going to look like for Travis Hunter. And um, I knew we weren't crazy. It's like we saw way too much talent on college for this to not be a thing. And you got to remember, he's so new to learning the wide receiver position. It's the first year he's played it full time. He's only ever done the dual position thing, and he's pretty much a full time. Like he's a little bit coming in situationally defensive packages, but he's pretty much a full time wide receiver for the first time in his life this year. And I think our patience is going to get paid off here, which I'm really happy about. So,
I think that was a great analogy, and it's one that I hope is accurate. What you said with Justin Jefferson, because he didn't come in and like the league in the first 6 weeks of the season. You had to be a little patient, and then it was just off to the races after that.
yep. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week. Hope you guys have enjoyed the show. We would love for you guys to join our free community Discord. If you haven't already, the link will be in the show notes. No strings attached with that. We just want to get to know the people that listen to our podcast. So definitely join the Discord. Leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast app you're listening on, and hope you have a blessed week.